Thanks for joining me everyone. Today I want to show you the Deus II features and programs. I'm going to try and keep this video as short as possible, but I fear it may be a little bit long-winded, so if you want a shortcut to a particular item or subject, I'll put a timestamp up on the side of the screen there. So when you turn your Deus II on, you're first presented with an icon screen, and it says, what do you want? Headphones, cordless, headphones, wired, headphones, vibration, BH01, bone conductive, or do you want the RC speaker? Well, in this instance, we want the RC speaker, so I'm going to press the top middle icon. So that's the RC speaker there. First of all, we're presented with the general program. Now, the general program isn't a beginner's program, it's an all-round program. It's a program what everyone can use because it uses such a wide range of frequencies. So the next program is your sensitive program, then you've got sensitive full tones, then you've got the fast program, then you've got the park program, deep HC, deep high conductor, Deus mono, which is your conventional Deus I, single frequency, choice of 4 to 45 kilohertz, Goldfield and Relic. Now, Goldfield and Relic use pretty much the same platform, although Relic uses a lower frequency band. Diving, Beach, and Beach Sensitive. So they're your factory programs. Don't forget you've got 12 user slots where you can save your own custom programs. Now, this Deus II is my beta version, so when it comes onto the market you may have different programs or even more programs, who knows. So right, let's go back to the general program and get started with your menu. Hit the menu, first thing you'll see is discrimination 10. Now if you press the expert, we can run down, we've got tones, we've got 2 tones, 3 tones, 4 tones, 5 tones, pitch and full tones. Back to the 3 tones. Go down when we've got bottle cap reject 0 to 5, ideal for all you park hunters. Then we've got the notch feature. Now we're going to be talking a lot about the notch feature in future videos because this is a real important feature. You can notch out unwanted targets or unwanted ground and still accept the targets which you want to accept, which are close within the rejected range. Phew. Back into discrimination. Let's go down sensitivity, frequency shift. Now that's an interesting one because you've got an auto scan feature where you just press the button and we're doing auto scan as we talk, and it runs through the frequencies to find a clean channel. No problem at all. There it goes, nearly finished. And it's chosen band 1. Iron volume, reactivity 2.5. Reactivity goes all the way down to 0 on this model. Audio response, back to discrimination. Now there's a little added feature I just want to show you. Let's quickly go into the tones again, pitch mode, back into the menu, go down and we see another option and it's called threshold, and this threshold's only available in the pitch mode at the moment. So you've got a background carrier when you're detecting. And also you can add something else to the pitch mode, which I'll cover in a minute. Okay, let's turn this threshold down a little bit. 0, threshold is off. And back to the general detecting screen. Let's have a look at the screen. So what information have we got here? At the top there, we've got the grayed out area, which is your discriminated range. Program, ferrous and non-ferrous, horseshoe meter, MID, multi-icon display screen this is called. On your Deus I, it went that way, and on this machine, it's upside down. So we've still got ferrous on the left and non-ferrous on the right. Ground level, we've got the mineralization bar, what comes up, and it alternates between the battery levels. And on the right there, you've got ground ID and ground set, and your 3 buttons there, menu, GB, options. So let's go into the options. Oh, it's got a clock bottom left, don't forget that. Options. Now the first option we come to there is audio. So let's select the audio, and here you can adjust the volume levels of all your different accessories, headphones. One good battery saving tip here is to turn all the volume levels down to 0 of the items you're not using. So in this instance, we're just using the controller speaker, so we don't need the headphone volume up, etc. Just turn it down. One thing just worth pointing out here, when I'm doing my videos, I will be using the RC speaker so you guys can hear it on camera. But please be aware, the audio quality from this speaker isn't as good as the audio quality from your XP headphones. So if you use the headphones, you get much more of a better XP experience, shall we say, but needs must and all that lot. So let's go down one more. We've got a graphic equalizer where we can tweak our audio sounds to what suits us. You can have graphic equalizer off or on. As you can see there, you've got the icons going up and down. You can adjust them as such. Graphic equalizer off. Okay, let's go down one more. Audio type. Now this is an interesting one. We've got PWM, which is your standard XP Deus tone, which you're all used to. But if I hit the plus button, we've got the square mode. Now the square mode has got slightly less harmonics. It's more of a fluty sound. And if you combine pitch, threshold, like we just talked about, and then add the square mode into it, we get some really nice audio coming out of this Deus. Something a little bit different. But I do know that XP are working on some additional tone features for the future. So that's going to be an interesting one to watch. So let's go back to PWM. Let's go down one more, audio out. So that's the audio talked about. Let's go down one more. Settings, we've got the diving mode where you can hit this button and it locks your keypad. So if you're diving in deep water, you don't accidentally press the keypad. But be aware that if you do hit the keypad, you can't make any adjustments and you need to unlock it. And the way to do that is look at the detect screen and you'll see 3 little padlocks. You have to press each key in turn to unlock the padlocks and get back to your menus and features. Let's go down one more. Display, we've got backlight, contrast, brightness, blah, blah, blah. That's done. Language, now you can select your language within the Deus. You don't have to send it away for a software update. Clock, self-explanatory. Profile, we've got 2 profiles on this. We've got the MID, multi-icon display, commonly known as the horseshoe screen, and we've got the XY screen. So let's just go back there and show you the XY screen. The XY screen is very uncluttered and it's got a line for ferrous, line for non-ferrous, and some squiggles in the middle when it's just a confused signal. So you get a lot of information from the XY screen. Right, let's go back there. Select, let's go back to the MID screen. Go down, we've got the Go Terrain app, which is almost ready. We've got frequency scan. Obviously, you can scan the frequency automatically or manually. So if you set it on auto, every time you change factory program, it'll automatically scan for a clean frequency. If you have it on manual, it won't. Now, the disadvantage is, if it's called a disadvantage of scanning it automatically every time you change programs, it just takes probably 2 seconds longer when you've selected a new program for it to settle, obviously because it's scanning the frequency. So I like to keep that in manual and just do the frequency scans as I wish. Update, yeah, we're going to have plenty of updates for this machine because it's a new concept. We're constantly evolving it. So the update system on this, as far as I'm aware, it's PC only once again, but having used the new update feature, it's very, very easy to use, not confusing at all. And information, just version numbers and things like that. So that's that. That's the options menu, all done and dusted. Let's go over to the right hand side and just have a little talk about the GB menu. Now this is a real simple one, but one thing you need to know is once you hit that GB button, your machine goes into all metal. So if you're sort of doing tests or something and it's in the GB screen, there'll be no discrimination. You have to go back into the search screen. So let's hit the GB button. We've got ground grab. Now this is quite important with the Deus II fast multi-frequency. They recommend that you ground grab to the ground. Just pump it a few times, hold the button down, grab the ground, the number will come up and you're good to go. But in some cases, when you grab the ground, you can have certain shock values to the coil. You can make the coil oversensitive, and we've got a little feature called ground stabilizer added to this menu. Let's go down one more. Tracking. Do you want tracking on a busy Roman site? Certainly not. Only use tracking when you've got slight changes to the ground effect. Because if you go on a Roman or medieval site and use tracking, the machine's always questioning the ground. It never knows what to track to, because ancient habitation is the worst thing a detector will track to. It just doesn't know what to do. So tracking on if you've got gradual changes, tracking off if you're on a busy site. One more, ground stabilizers I just talked about. So if we go to ground stabilizer 1, this is like the conventional Deus 1. You can lower your ground balance, but you still run the risk of a hypersensitive coil, shocks and knocks against stubble or rocks or roots and things like that. So you need to introduce a little bit of ground stabilizer. And you'll see on the factory programs, some are 2, some are 3 maximum. But running the ground stabilizer at 3, you don't really lose any targets. You're just making the machine a little bit more settled. So when would you use ground stabilizer 1, for example? Well, if you're looking for really, really deep targets, what are on the threshold of depth, then the ground stabilizer 1 would be a good option, because that's giving you all the information. You could have these slight raises in signal, which could be the ground, or it could be a very deep target. Your choice, but I'd say ground stabilizer 1 is really for professional use. Not saying you're not professionals, I'm just saying it's not something I'd use. Okay, so that is the GB. Now we've got some shortcuts on the screen which are quite nifty. If we press and hold the plus or the minus buttons, we automatically shortcut. I've gone into the general. We automatically shortcut to the audio volume screen, so we can adjust the audio volumes. Let me show you. You can hit that and hit the icon, change it to the wired headphones, wireless headphones, bone conductive headphones, back to the RC speaker, and it does get really loud at maximum. So let's that fade out. There it goes. And your second shortcut is your GB menu. So if you press and hold the GB menu, you then go into an automatic frequency scan as it's going through now. And to ground grab, you press and hold the pinpoint button, and it's telling you just to raise and lower the coil over a bit of ground which ain't got iron on it, for example. And the pinpoint button has got a new feature. Let's just do that. You have an AT on, auto tune on, so the pinpoint actually shrinks the target down as you're passing over it. It can shrink it down to virtually nothing, but if you didn't want to do that, you just select auto tune off. And obviously you can see there you've got the square that dials in the closer you get to the target. Press the back button, and I think that's pretty much it for the XP Deus II menus, features, rundowns. In future videos, I'm going to be going into the factory programs a little bit more, and we'll talk about them. We'll open them up and see what each feature does. Beach settings, that reminds me, beach settings. Now, if you're in any of the beach programs, we're in a beach program now. Let's just hit the menu and scroll down. Gone past it. There it is, salt sense. Now you've only got salt sense in the beach programs, and that's a salt sensitivity adjustment, and it works exactly the same as your conventional sensitivity. How sensitive do you want the machine to salt? Obviously, if it's too high, the salt's going to be giving you false signals, but you will be finding the small little bits of gold and the small change. So it's a balancing act between salt sensitivity high or low. So on a low setting, your machine's not so aggressive on the salt signal. But one thing I will say is, using this machine, the beta versions, it's been great watching this machine evolve. But it's not a Deus 1, and this took me a little bit of time to get my head round this not being a Deus 1, because I was expecting everything to be the same. The Deus 1 characteristics are still there. It's a very, very fast machine, but it does talk a slightly different language. I find if I'm out in the field and I get perhaps a dodgy sounding target, with the Deus I, you could tidy it up by sort of digging a few spadefuls and it'll get better. With the Deus II, if it sounds dodgy, it normally is dodgy, if that makes sense. The good targets come through loud and clear. The fussy targets are normally rubbish or misshaped iron or something like that. So it's been an interesting journey, and the meter, the target ID meter on this machine is absolutely fantastic. It locks on at depth, no problem at all, and that's a real added bonus. Factory preset programs and frequencies. Well, based on what factory preset program you choose, you've then assigned a certain frequency band. Now, if you want to find a little bit more about what frequency bands are used in what factory programs, it's in your instruction manual under the factory program section, and you'll see at the very top of each program the frequency band, and that's quite helpful. But I find the general program is a really good all-rounder, and also I've been enjoying using the Park program just with bottle cap reject at 0. Those two programs have given me some interesting finds, I must admit, and it's been fun to use. But as time evolves, we're going to learn a lot more about this Deus II. Look at the Deus I, we're still learning it now, so this is going to be a whole new adventure. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Once again, it's been emotional. I hope that's given you a little bit of an insight into the XP Deus II menus and features, and of course we'll be covering certain subjects along the way. I think the next video I'll probably be using factory preset programs and just getting our ear into them and messing around with the audio tones a little bit. But that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Sorry it's been such a bit of a long drawn out video, but I don't think there's a way of doing this quickly. See you again on the next video. Bye for now.